Hey everyone, Brittany here. So, what were three key concepts you learned regarding the history of higher education and leadership from the text and readings? I was surprised to read the evolution of the definition of leadership and how it has changed over time. In particular, I think there was a drastic change in the definition from the first few decades of the 1900s to the 1930s. The definition of leadership in the 1920s emphasized domination and control and power, and in the 1930s, it emphasized the traits of a leader and influence rather than domination. This is how I see higher education leadership today. While leaders in higher ed are still usually thought to be the individuals highest up on the org charts, I think it's the influence that they have on their students and their programs that really makes them a leader. And second, as a big college football fan, go dogs, it was very interesting to learn about the first college football game and how the leadership in higher education um, noticed how popular the games were, and thus the university administration and leadership took over the control and began managing the college football games. And third, interestingly, Nordhaus stated that the definition of leadership in the early 1900s was the ability to impress the will of the leader on those led and induce obedience, respect, loyalty, and cooperation. And this was a time in America's history where women and African Americans were beginning to, although it was still a struggle, obtain a bachelor's degree. And although it was a different world than what we live in now, I was shocked to read that the president of University of California in 1904 basically said that women were made to marry and procreate. However, I think the definition of leadership that Nordhaus describes during this time period explains why these situations were even allowed. It's clear that these individuals had a lot of power in not only higher education, but probably their communities too, and thus others respected their beliefs and did as these leaders thought they should. And then the second question, how did what you learned change your perceptions and set the context for better understanding leadership within higher education? In general, not drawing on, okay, I don't need to read that part. One thing that really stuck out to me was how we define leadership has drastically changed over the years. I don't think I ever really thought about this, but the reading in Nordhaus's book definitely gave me a better understanding of the idea and definition of leadership and mostly how complex leadership really is. And scholars still research this comprehensive topic and continue to debate whether leadership and management are separate processes or not. And in higher education, I think that leaders are managers, but managers are not necessarily leaders. And after reading the chapter in Nordhaus's book, my perceptions of leadership in higher education did change. Originally, I would have only thought of deans and chairs as higher education leaders, but now I tend to think that higher education leaders are everyone who influences staff, students, faculty, etc., such as professors, advisors, mentors, and even peers. And overall, this first chapter in Nordhaus's book definitely gave me a better understanding of leadership and higher education. And I'm sure as I continue to read this book, I will have a better understanding of higher education leadership. Thanks for taking the time to watch my video, and I look forward to hearing your comments.